everybody wants to blame the real estate agents, right? That's kind of the thing we do. We like to blame the real estate agents. Now listen, in my own defense, and I'm ready for it. I am ready. You can say what you need to say here, but I just want an opportunity as a real estate agent for 26 years. I can tell you one thing I know to be an absolute fact. People love to blame the real estate agent. The latest thing that is now being blamed on the agent is the cost of real estate, which in my opinion is a little bit crazy. It's a little bit far-fetched. You know, your job is your job, right? So whatever job you do, whatever company you work at, same thing, like you can't say your insurance agent is the cause of the high cost of insurance. So now that we have established that, I want to talk to you a little bit about why I think the prices in Florida are staying high, why we haven't seen that crash that many of us have been waiting for. And I don't want to say, listen, I know we all hope for a slow landing to the ground, but I don't know that we're going to get that. I feel like we're getting like some drops through the pocket. You know what I mean? We're seeing like a jump down and then another jump down. We're not really seeing a slow land, but I guess the good thing is we aren't seeing like an absolute crash through the ceiling either. So I kind of want to talk to you about why I think that's happening, and maybe some of this will make sense to you. All right, so here's what I know. Generally speaking, in Florida, people look to move at the 3-year mark and again at the 7-year mark. So that is generally the time frame that you see people start to think about moving or actually put their house on the market to move. So walk down the path with me for a minute here. So COVID years, we can all agree that that was insanity. Prices were through the roof. People were bidding $100,000 over ask and still not getting the property. It was the wild, wild Southwest, that is for sure. So now here we are. COVID is over. So I think by 2025, mid 2025, right in that range, we'll be right at that 3-year mark. So right now, we're in that planning phase in anticipation of what I think will be the 3-year mark in mid-ish 2025. Right now, people have not come to reality to realize that this is on the way. This is on the way. When 2025 hits, that'll be the 3-year mark when people want out. They're ready to go, and a lot of people are ready to go at that point. Maybe the whole Florida project has run its course. You tried it. It was fun. It was sort of like a long vacation, but you're ready to go. When that happens, in my opinion, that is when we'll see the bottom fall out. Why? And also, as an aside, if you don't believe me, real estate tends to be cyclical. Can we all agree? It really does. If you've been around for a while, you know this. So if you think about it, 2005, 2006-ish is when the prices went way up. Then 2008 was the big bubble burst crash. Then by 2011, you could get a really good deal. You see what I mean? Do you see the exact same pattern that we have right now? So if you don't believe me, believe history, because real estate does tend to be cyclical and it does repeat itself. So that could be good news for some and bad news for others. But here's where I think the basement falls out, is that many sellers are over leveraged. So if you did buy in that 3-year time frame that we're talking about, the COVID years, you probably paid way too much. At least what the market will bring now, you probably are underwater to some degree, if not way underwater. And when everybody jumps out, and everybody's jumping out and many sellers are underwater, that creates that problem that we had back in the bubble bursting. And again, that bubble burst was completely different in 2008 than what we have now. But there are a lot of similarities, although I would say that this is worse. But I think that's what's coming forward in 2025 is you'll see a lot more sellers that have hit that 3-year mark and they are just ready to go, which will cause all of those houses to come on the market. We already have a ton on the market right now. Can you imagine if we have 25% more come on the market? So that said, the reason that I think the prices are still sitting a little bit high now is we're not quite to that 3-year mark. We're in the planning stage, but we're not quite there. All right, what else is keeping the prices kind of high right now? The insurance crisis. That problem. So if you have a roof that's 11 years old, generally speaking, that's not a big deal. But now it is apparently, because insurance companies are saying, no, that's not okay with us. We want to go out and inspect. We want you to put a new roof on. We don't care if you don't have any damage to your roof. We're still going to make you put on a new roof. Well, people, if you've been given notice that you're going to be dropped by your insurance company unless you put a new roof on, that is something you're going to need to disclose to the buyer if there is a roofing problem. And if you can't get insured, all of these insurance companies, generally speaking, are following the same underwriters. So if not for you, not for them either, which puts someone in a really problematic catch-22 that if you put the roof on for yourself, maybe now you don't have the money to move. And if you don't put the roof on, then your buyer can't buy the property. So it puts you in a really bad spot. Also, the floodplain rezoning. So many areas got rezoned into a floodplain. Almost all of Fort Myers, if not all of Fort Myers, has been rezoned into a floodplain. This is yet another problem. Many people that I talk to that are moving from up north and they want to move to Florida will say, I don't want to be in a floodplain. So if your entire area is a floodplain and you have that insurance problem, now we've got that double whammy of a problem for you to market your home and get it sold. So here we are in 2024, and you're in that planning stage that I was talking to you about. I think a lot of people, the reason they're still sitting high is because they're figuring it out. They're trying to figure out what to do. They're saying, can I stay or do I have to go? And if I go, can I even afford to go elsewhere? Which is my next reason as to why I think the prices are remaining high. Because for those people that have said, okay, you know what, I'm going to stick it out. I'm going to leave my home on the market and I'm going to try to sell. They have to keep their price high because they're building in these ridiculous things the insurance company is asking for. They're building into their cost in case they do have to put a roof on or credit for a roof. They're building all of this into their exit strategy because otherwise they can't afford to leave. It's one of those situations where I can't afford to stay, but I also can't afford to leave. So if you're in that position and you're on the market now in 2024, again, price is sitting high because you're not the only one doing that. Your neighbor is doing that. Somebody in the block over is doing the same thing, trying to figure it all out while this ever-changing market adjusts itself into some normalcy. So again, keep your eye on the ball because 2025 is going to see all of this shake out. And then I would say the last one, and this runs completely counter-parallel to what I hear. I get a lot of good comments on my YouTube channel. I feel like I have a really good group of people that watch me, and I thank every one of you for that. But I do sometimes get a little bit of snark, a little bit of poison dart in the back, because I do read my comments. And one thing that I read consistently, not just on my channel, but on a lot of people's channel, is the agents are doing. Why
don't the agents make them drop the price of their house?
Well, because I can't make Mr. and Mrs. Jones drop the price of their house any more than I can make you drop the price of your house. That's one of those things. When you're a buyer, you want everybody's house to be as cheap as possible. But if you're also selling, all of a sudden, you become that seller that will not drop the price of your house. It's just the phenomena that we work with as real estate agents. Everybody wants to sell high and buy low. There is nothing new in all of that. But keep in mind, real estate agents who are all basically eating spam and ketchup right now, that's the reality of it. Real estate agents are paid when a deal closes. Otherwise, all they're doing is spending money. So why would they try to convince a seller to stay at a number that they know is way overvalued? They're never going to get it. They're not getting any showings. And the only way to sell the house is to get the price down to a realistic number. Why would an agent sit at somebody's kitchen table and say, no, ma'am, let's keep it really, really high? That's ridiculous. And I know some of you are out there going, so that they can make more commission. Well, listen, that little bit of teeny tiny, the percentage that a real estate agent makes as it's broken down by purchase price, if you times that by 0% because it's not going to sell because it's way too high, how does that make any sense? I don't know anyone that would do that. Now, I'm going to tell you, because I always talk to you about both sides of the coin. During the COVID years, did we kind of co-sign to sellers asking numbers that were really through the roof? Yeah, we did. And you know why? Because your alternative is to walk away from the listing. So let's pretend for a minute that you're one of those people that are down in my comments typing one of those nasty poison darts. Okay, let's just pretend. It's probably not you, but let's pretend it is. And you're saying,
well, this is your fault because you let Mr. and Mrs. Jones ask $100,000 higher than anything it ever sold for in the neighborhood, and you caused all of those prices to go up.
well, here's the thing. If there's no buyer out there for it, it sits like a ton of bricks. There were so many buyers that were out there saying, waving cash, bags of cash over here. I will give you $100,000 over ask. That is what sets the precedent. That is what sets the numbers. The buyers set the market price because the buyers determine what they're willing to pay for Mr. and Mrs. Jones' property. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense to you, because a lot of people think that it's agents trying to keep the property prices inflated, and that does not make any sense. Agents do not, most agents, anybody I know is not going to do that because it just doesn't work. When there's an abundance of homes on the market and an abundance of problems going on right now and not that many buyers, that is not a seller's market. That is for sure. So those are the reasons that I think we're still sitting high in 2024. And I think 2025 is going to tell a completely different story.